Initial D. Oh my god. It is such a good show. Eli, take it off.
Well, let's I think a good place to start with this show is just the premise and what it all has going for it. I mean, it's a lot to unpack, so I'll just explain it kind of from the get-go. Light spoilers for like the first, I'd say, 5 episodes, so be warned. So, essentially there's a kid named Takumi Fujiwara. He's a high school dude. He's a bit of an airhead. He has some friends in class, and his friends all share a passion for driving. They all love to drive their cars. They all have, the classic JDM cars. And they form their own little band of racers called the Akana Speedstars. And so they're pretty basic because, they don't know everything. I mean, they go up against these people who are very good at racing. But early on, Takumi was, secretly being trained by his father, who was a legendary racer in his Japan area, street racer, night racer, And his dad essentially taught him secretly by having him go deliver tofu for like years and years and years and years before he even was like literally allowed to drive on the street. Every night at like 1 a.m. to like, 5 a.m. And he would get used to it, and he would go as fast as he could, drifting the corners, and it was all in the iconic 8.6 Toyota Trueno, A86. Awesome car. A little bit of a junky car, but it gets the job done. It's a nice car. It's a fast car when you do it right, and it's all modded out in this. Like the engine has tuning, and Dakota can probably explain that more. But yeah, that's pretty much the premise of the show. And Takumi, the story is all about him becoming a legend and him becoming, pretty much the greatest racer in night racer, legal street racing driver in all of Japan. And it's a very entertaining thing. It's kind of like, a shonen, but like the main character is actually a night racer. And they drift and swerve their way through courses all throughout Japan. Gotta take it away from there.
Yeah, so first thing I'm going to get into is the cars. Takumi, each battle is up against a different car in most cases. There are some cases where, he's battled this type of car before, but it's a different driver with a different technique. So, it is fairly realistic with how the cars operate, all like the physics and everything. All of that is fairly decent, actually. Another thing is each kind of enemy or opponent has a different style. So you could say that each race is unique. There are some cases where it's like, it's a spawn of the moment deathmatch where you have your hand taped on the steering wheel, and it could be another one where he just races in the rain, in the snow. It really kind of shows you what cars are capable of and what drivers can be capable of. And in that aspect, I think it's a fairly realistic show. Towards the end, it's a little bit far-fetched.
Promise you won't freak out on me, okay?
Wait, why would I freak out?
This is no 8.6. It's an 8.5.
This is an 8.5? Wait, do you mean the AE 8.5? What? Your car might look like an 8.6, but pop the hood? I mean, it's like comparing a hawk and a damn hummingbird.
And another thing about the show is it has some great characters, supporting roles. The main character, again, kind of an airhead, kind of a, walking thought bubble, but, he figures things out. He really learns, Dakota, over the course of the show. to be a better driver. Like at first, he has no idea like the insides of the car, and he's
He
like,
doesn't.
oh,
He doesn't know what engine in it. He doesn't know what makes
like,
the
he doesn't know
8.6 and
about the
8.6. It's
yeah,
It is. It is
damn, it's just
kind
a
of.
car.
To him, it's just a car, nothing more. A way to drive and all that. But later on, he appreciates it, and I'm not sure which part it was. I think it was halfway through part 2. Takumi gets in a race with a Land Evo, and this is probably the moment that he realized that he wanted to be the best and learn everything. He's on a downhill stretch, and the Land Evo is just that much faster than him and has that much more power. He's going, and his engine blows up. A piston, I think it was a rod, went through his engine and completely ruined it. And he's stuck there with his broken 8.6, just kind of thinking, wow, I'm not the best. This is the first time he lost. He doesn't know how to handle it. But he calls his dad, and his dad's like, it's alright, we all wreck. What matters is, did you learn from the wreck? And so it's kind of like a heartwarming moment with him and his dad, because throughout the show, his dad cares about him, but he's never really like taught him anything. This is like one of the only moments where like he actually like gave him some advice, and he's like, it's alright, we'll get a new engine. And for I think it was 4 years, his dad was secretly like paying Takumi without him knowing. Like he had a savings account for him, and he bought him a new engine. I'm not sure if this is correct, but I think they put a 2JZ engine. That is like a very professional engine.
Yes, and these are just like light things like in the first season, because there are 5 seasons of the show, 5 main core seasons. There are tons of little extra stages and such. It's a little bit confusing, but if you look online, just like look up like the order in which to watch things, you'll figure it out. But I think next what we should get into is plot of the show, and like how, the pacing, like what it really is. And I think I'm going to start off by saying that mainly what this show is all about is a race, a couple episodes, like a few episodes of a race, and you got all the characters in their classic anime fashion analyzing the race while it's happening, explaining what's going on, and they're all drivers, so they're like saying, oh, he's using the thing to drift,
he's using the gutter to accelerate,
stuff like that.
Oh, the 8.6 is heading straight into the corner, fast, really fast. It's like it's freaking brakes are out.
What the hell is that?
He passed on the inside. He made K-Skate look like a grandma driving home from church.
In between each of these races, there's a couple little slice of life moments, and I'm gonna say this: slice of life in this show,
it sucks.
It's not. Yeah, it just sucks. It's not like the worst I've ever seen in any anime, but it's just like it's a complete afterthought. It's just there because realism. He has a life outside of driving, but it's very minimal, and the show kind of drops the ball like halfway through with it.
But it's also because
back up towards the end, but I'm not going to talk too much about that.
It's also because during the part,
moment too, which is interesting. It starts fairly strong actually in season 1, and then it just kind of gets worse and worse and worse until they pretty much abandon it altogether. But things happen. So like things happen outside of the races that add tension sometimes, especially later on there are some tense moments. But I think for the most part, this is focused on the racing and the cars and the strategies.
It is focused on the story of a legend being made. That is the main purpose.
Takumi Fujiwara becoming a legend, and man, the soundtrack is just great. When you're listening and you're watching these, like they do such a good job of visualizing, making you feel in the moment. The soundtrack, it's classic Eurobeat. It's kind of like a little bit of mixture of like a dubstep, but with more synth and more singing in it. And man, it is great. Running in the 90s,
the first race with running in the 90s will get you hooked on this anime. It is
oh yeah, man,
flawless. It is just, man, it is just so good. It emphasizes the great aspects of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean the atmosphere of the show is great. Even though early on, I'm just gonna be honest, the animation isn't so hot, and frankly, I think it might annoy some people that it's very inconsistent. Each season they kind of change the animation a little bit. Some characters get like redesigns and stuff, which might be annoying to some, but frankly, I mean, as long as as long as it sticks to a somewhat consistent basis, and it does, it's not too much of a hindrance. That said, though, the actual, visuals of like the cars, especially later on in the show, is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, starting off, it's very, blocky,
it's very blocky,
90s
janky,
CGI.
basic. It's very basic.
Yes, yeah.
But the animation, I think, also plays a huge role in the storytelling. It goes from this blocky, kind of choppy visuals to this clean, elegant, insanely detailed looking cars and races. And
Yeah,
I think that helps.
Naruto starts off very, basic, and then it just gets better and better and better, It's just like one of those, it's just like watching an anime, because this anime stretched through quite a few years. I believe it was like 1998 that it started and then ended in like 2010, so this anime had a good run.
早い。あいつめ、またさらに凄みが増してやがんな。
Here's the thing about it. You can find it on Funimation, at least the first 4 stages of it, which are like the seasons. However, and extra stages that are kind of OVA's bonus content, spin-off content for other characters, they're actually only available on like illegal sites. So yeah, you're gonna have to take a little bit of risk there, but it's alright, I'm sure anime fans like us do that quite often, go and find old anime on sites like that. But yeah, overall, it's a very, very fun anime. You're gonna have yourself laughing at moments with these characters. You'll learn to love these characters, and then the visuals are just great. The music is great. The premise of the show is just awesome. The story is also great. The only really weak parts I could say is that, yeah, sometimes early on, the animation's a little rough, and yeah, the slice of life isn't so hot. But you know what? This is a racing anime. This is basically a racing shonen, Dakota? It's just a racing shonen.
It is the story of a legend being told. I'll say it again, and I'll keep saying it. It is a story of a legend being made and a person growing up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
I mean, overall,
in my
really
professional opinion, where I don't take my own my own biasness with me being a car guy, if you're just kind of looking for a good anime, I'd say it's a solid 8.5 out of 10. In my nerdy car guy opinion, this is a flawless anime with very few plots. It gets its point done, and it doesn't have barely any flaws. There definitely are flaws with some storylines, but other than that,
the car parts of the show is just perfect. Yeah, the actual important stuff of the cars and such. Yeah, it's just great.
But that's really it.
Yeah, as I would say it, me, who is a, avid anime watcher, but not like crazy into cars, I would give this an anime a solid 8, and I totally recommend you to watch it if you ever get the time. Maybe if you're taking a break, while watching One Piece or something. Because this is one of those animes, it's just like, it's around 70 to 80 episodes, and it also kind of depends on how much you want. Because again, there are lots of OVA for this anime. There's side, spin-off movie kind of things. It's a very big, rich, story, and you can really explore it. And it's a lot of fun. And with that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and let us know if you guys enjoy this type of content. Peace out.
Deuces.
Initial D.